Taking a peek at the new 11.1-inch infotainment system inside of the Lincoln Nautilus. So this is the only option that's going to be available inside of this vehicle. And then you've got the larger 48-inch screen, which looks beautiful. But I'm going to show you everything that you need to know here. So this is going to be the home screen that you're typically met with when you first launch the vehicle. If that's not the screen you're on, you can just push the home icon there. You've got your clock along the top left-hand side, your basic home screen here. There's no swipe capabilities at all here. And then there's no option of being able to adjust out these options. So this essentially is stuck into place the way that it is. But you saw there, you've got profiles. So you can create unique profiles for people that are going to remember things like your presets, the phones that you've got set up, your navigation addresses, and a number of other things. But you could also just sign in to your Google account in order to use it. So this is not Sync 4. This is a completely new operating system that's built off of Google OS instead, so Google Android OS. But one nice thing is that even though it's built off of Google Android OS, you've still got Apple CarPlay capabilities and then Android Auto capabilities as well. But I'll talk you through those ones as we get through different options. But you've got your Google Maps on the main screen here. You can easily search for addresses, look at categories or saved addresses, select any options that you want there. You can exit out. You could push this in order to look at route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, and ferries, things like that, privacy options, etc. You can also push this to see different options that are available to get you back to your end destination. Pushing this button allows you to look at avoiding toll roads and things like that. You can also search for other things. So let's say if you wanted to stop by a gas station first, let's click, and then you've got the option of adding in. So let's do it. So you've got different things to get, and oh, that's kind of cool. So I selected that second, but it pushed it as the next stop because obviously just logically that would make the most sense. I like that it did that automatically. And then from there, if you wanted to just exit out, you can remove the stop, or you can just completely exit the navigation that you've set up. You've got your voice command prompt there. So you could do that. There's a button you can push on the steering wheel to launch it, or you can say, "Hey Google," in order to launch the assistant that way instead. And the assistant here can do a boatload of things like, "Hey Google, turn on the heated steering wheel."
Got it. Turning on the steering wheel heater.
So it turned it on automatically for you. So that is a really cool thing. You can do things like turn on the heated steering wheel. You can use factory navigation and so many other things. It is incredible. But that's the basics of your maps. Like, it's regular Google Maps like you'd find on your phone. But the downside, though, is that this system, it technically does require an active data connection in order to be able to use. So as of right now, you get your first year of services for free. Lincoln still hasn't announced what the cost is going to be. There will be a cost, it's just not updated as of yet. So once Lincoln announces if it's going to be a monthly or a yearly service, I'll link that down in the description with an update on what it's looking like. But I mean, I love that you've got it. And like, if you don't want to subscribe to a service, you still could hook up your phone. Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze through Google devices, or Android Auto lets you use Google Maps or Waze. But that's the basics there. Super straightforward using Google Maps in order to find addresses and things like that. As I mentioned, you can also use the voice command prompt if you wanted to go that route instead. This is a little notification icon. So do you have different things that are available? Oh, a little swipe up as well. So swipe away action. And then you can push this in order to get back to the screen as well, or as you saw there, you can just swipe up to get rid of, I love that animation. Different connectivity options that are available there as well. And then you've got your climate control settings that are baked right into the screen. So climate control is baked into the screen. There are no tactile physical buttons down the center stack, but you can do things like adjust the heated ventilated seats using your voice instead. So it does take a little bit of time, or you can just adjust it this way. Then there's a basic slider that you can use there as well. Link the driver and the passenger side to one another if you wanted to. Same idea, turn on the heated ventilated first row seats, 3 different option levels for each one. Nice. You can adjust your fan speed that way. You can swipe up to adjust your fan speed that way as well. You can go into an auto mode if you want the vehicle to determine which mode you should be in. 3 individual levels, and that's going to be the intensity of the mode itself. You can push this in order to get to this level instead. Let's actually turn that off for now. I'm going to swipe up and drop down. It's kind of neat. I love that you can do that in like so many different ways as well. But you've got the power button to just turn your climate control off completely. Do you want it going to your windshield face feet, some sort of combination? If the driver's side is different than the passenger, You could automatically link it as well. So it's going to default the passenger side to whatever the driver's side set up for. This little guy, you can have it going on body, off body, for motion there as well. Oh, that's really cool. So it's going to literally follow around. That's really cool. Okay, I did not know it could do that. So you could have it come and push out of the vent and unique areas for each individual area. That is really cool. So unlike using, I guess that would kind of make sense because there's no physical dials for you to be able to move the actual vents on either of these things. So you'd be able to select each individual vent and say where you want the air to go. That is really cool. Motion off your body. So if you wanted it, okay, that makes more sense. So it's going to push in and that's going to be the same passenger side as well. Do you want it going off body? Do you want to have it motion so you can control where each stream is going individually? That is really cool. Or you can close it so that that vent is not open. But I love that. That is so, so neat. And then lock it into place wherever you want to there. I love that. From there, you've got your air circulation, yay, nay, max AC, and then you've got the cabin air refresh as well. So whether or not you need to refresh the cabin just to get rid of particulates and other issues and things like that. Honestly, this is such a cool feature. That in and of itself, I love that. Ooh, auto mode chaos. Turn that off for now. You've got your max windshield defroster, rear window defroster, air conditioning, and then your passenger side seats there too. It's really straightforward to use this. I love it. That is really cool. Honestly, like even this part where you can kind of move up and down this way, I think that is a really neat feature. But that's the basics of using the climate control system. Next up, you've got this section, series of other options. So drive modes you can actually get to. There's a button down the center stack to push, or you can get at it through this mode instead. But you've got your normal, it's conserve, excite, slippery, deep conditions, etc. So these things are going to play with things like traction stability control. It's going to also rev up your RPMs a little bit more in that excite mode, so it gives you a sportier performance in comparison. And then swiping across there, you've got some additional settings, and the additional is reset to default order. Because one really cool thing is, let's say if you're a bigger fan of using the excite mode more than anything, you can have that as priority there instead. So you can kind of do a press and hold in order to be able to adjust these things out. Customize it a little bit more, make it a little bit more you. You've got ambient lighting, so you can adjust the brightness of the ambient light, and it's in a few different spots. So you're looking primarily in the cup holders there. There's also down by your feet and a few other spots throughout the vehicle, so you can kind of see where it's highlighted there. And then which color do you want that lighting to be? Really neat. Auto hold settings, that's the one if you come down to a complete stop, take your foot off the brake, car's not going to move. Do you want to toggle your traction control system on or off? Turning it off, the only time you're really going to do that is in really slippery conditions. Digital scent. So there are technically 3 different scents that are available right now. Chances are good that I'm going to upload or create a bunch of additional scents, but it says no cartridge detected because there isn't a cartridge installed. But that's actually done right through the armrest. So you can you can insert a few different unique scents, which is pretty neat. So if somebody's smelly in the car, you can use that instead if you want to. This thing has the capability now as well. Well, I guess you had that last year too. You can adjust the seat and really make it your own a little bit more. So you can adjust out each individual section of the seat to really make it your own. And you've got massage, driver, and passenger seats too. And there are a few different options that are available there. One cool thing is that you could go through the screen this way to do it. There's a button just to the left-hand side of the driver's seat, right-hand side of the passenger seat as well, in order to toggle the seats on or off, and then even go between the different modes and the different intensity levels of each mode too. It is really, really cool. And then you saw there, it's the same for the driver and for the passenger side. So you could select and adjust the passenger side seat there, but that is also going to be based off of how you have the vehicle configured. So as of right now, this thing has the 24-way perfect position seats. You wouldn't have the massage chair seats if you didn't have that feature. Valet mode is still there. So valet mode essentially locks the screen out. So you enter, actually, we got to go through this. Enter in a nice difficult pin. And then that locks everything out. It even turns the audio off too. That is really neat. And then, okay, so climate still works though. Okay, but everything else you can't use until you re-enter that 4-digit number and it locks everything out. So it works the same way as it did last year. From here, you've got vehicle status. You can check to see what's going on with tire pressure, oil life, so we're still solid there. Digital scent we've seen, valet mode, and then some additional settings. And there are so many settings. So things like your sound settings, tone. You can adjust your treble, mid-range, and bass. Bass usually sounds, in my opinion, cranked a little bit higher, treble down a little bit. Tends to give really good audio. It's a matter of preference, but I mean, I'll do an audio test in a bit, but it is really, really good. Balance and fade, do you want it focused on just the driver, people in the back seat, all around, or reset it back to center? Speed compensated volume, so as you're going faster or slower, it's automatically going to either raise or lower the speed as necessary. Volumes, yes, I love that they've added this in. So you can adjust the audio that way for each individual thing. So do you want to have your phone volume higher, lower, your prompts, your call ring? How high do you want these individual settings now? I love that they've added this in for each individual option. Ringtones, when you've got an incoming phone call, what do you want it to sound like? And then notification sounds. You've got some different options there as you get notifications. Really cool. Love it. All right, and from there, we've got some Bluetooth settings. So as you can see there, we've got a phone connected. You can add in additional devices, which, I mean, at this point, let's do it. So next up is going to be setting up Apple devices and Android devices in the vehicle. So let's start off by adding in a device. On your phone, you're going to go to Bluetooth, and then you're just waiting for the device to show up. It should say Lincoln Nautilus, iPhone 14 Pro, that's me, I think. There we go. Pins match up. Okay, that's interesting. So it didn't, oh, so it's showing hands-free there. So it didn't initially show, but when I connected to my device there, it's going to launch up. And yes, these are right. So we're going to pair. Allow contacts and favorites to sync. I'm going to say no to that one. But I'm connected. So you can see there are two different devices. Do you want to allow things? Let's see, use contact names to improve. I'm going to change settings. And on that one, I'm going to say no to that one. And that's just because this isn't my vehicle, but otherwise you could. And then you can see there, I'm hooked up through Bluetooth. I can use Bluetooth for audio if I want to, for phone calls. So that's one nice thing is that if you've got multiple phones connected, it's who gets connection priority, but what do you want to have connected? Do you want to have your phone connected, audio connected on this phone? You can push this little thing in order to be able to disconnect, forget. You can look at phone calls, media, text messages, contact downloads, whether or not you want that to happen, and so many other things. You can disable anything, enable whatever you'd like to there as well. Moving back, you can click back through in order to reconnect, and then you can also use CarPlay. So do you want to use CarPlay with the Nautilus? Yes, I want to use it. Do you want to start it? Yes, let's start it. And we are connected there. That is amazing. And as you can see, fully connected to CarPlay, and it doesn't look like there are going to be any limitations there. It's fairly responsive, which is great. You've got your main screen there. So you could, can you get fuller screen? Yes, complete full screen on this now. It's not, obviously, like it's not much of a difference, but that is really cool that you can kind of stretch it across that last teeny little bit if you wanted to. But on the outside, you've got your current time, connection levels, which map was opened last, which audio application was opened, and then which miscellaneous application was last opened. Moving here, you've got Apple Maps. Nice and responsive, no pinch to zoom. You've got to go in and out this way. You could also select this to move around if you wanted to. You could change up your heading that way if you want, search for destinations, etc. From there, you've also got Google Maps, and I think Google Maps will be the same thing. Yes, nice and responsive, no pinch to zoom capabilities. You can go this way in order to zoom in or out. Back to done. Search for addresses that way as well. You can go back home, swipe across, and I think Waze is going to be the same way. So still nice and responsive, which is great. Pushing there in order to zoom in or out. Hit done. You can let people know of police that are there, crash, traffic hazards, whatever the case may be. So Waze users are going to be familiar with that, but it's great. And like I said, so many different audio options that are available. So if you wanted to listen to podcasts, you could, music, audiobooks, live ones, or radio app. There are so many things that you can listen to through Apple CarPlay. And then one really neat thing is, let's say if you've got Waze set up, actually, let's go. Actually, I want to use a different, I'm even going to use Apple Maps on this one. And then let's search for an address. Let's actually look for a gas station. And let's just randomly grab one and go.
Starting route to Petro Canada.
So once you actually open up Apple Maps inside of CarPlay, not only does it show there, but it also takes out the system default screen there as well. So I'm essentially running my Apple Maps with a nice fade out effect right through that 48-inch screen along the top there too. That's really cool. And then you can proceed to the route, push up there, and route. And then it's shot back out to Google Maps along the top there instead. So that's really cool. So what this means is that if you've got a map open and running inside of Apple CarPlay, it's probably going to be the same for Android Auto. It's going to overtake the system default map there on top of that. That's amazing. And then back home. That's great. And then you're going to have the same capabilities as you would in all Apple devices. So on your Apple phone, if you go into your general settings, go to CarPlay, find the Nautilus, you can forget it, toggle CarPlay off while the phone's locked, or go to Customize. So let's say if you're a bigger fan of listening to your podcasts and you also want Waze to be there as well, you can do that, and then you can delete certain things. Fully removes them from the screen, but they're saved, so you could add them back in if you want to. And then if you're not a fan of any changes you've made, along the top of your phone there, you can do a reset in order to reset back to the factory default screen there instead. Very straightforward. Pushing home gets you back there, or you can go back to this icon view, and like I said, swiping across that way does the same thing. Pushing the Apple button there does nothing unless you're out of it, and then you can push back in to launch right back into CarPlay again. Looking back at your basic settings there, if you hop into your phone, you're back into CarPlay again. So let's go through settings. We've got Bluetooth, and then you've got the phones that are connected. So I've got this one that's connected to CarPlay. So you can either be connected to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, but you can have a mix of these options there as well. So if you wanted to be able to use your phone, if you wanted to be able to use it for audio as well, which is great. Oh, I know that's quite a little bit of info, but that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the new Nautilus. Okay, and setting up an Android is going to be the exact same process. So if you weren't on this screen, all you're going to have to do is get into your settings. You can get to this for a few different ways, but you want to launch your Bluetooth settings there. You can forget devices, but what we're looking for is adding in a device. On your phone, you're looking for Bluetooth, and we're just waiting to pair, so it recognizes it. So we're going to click through and add. Couldn't pair. Get out of here. There we go. All right. So it's interesting. So I touched on the phone first, and then I went this way. So it looks like you're going to have to make sure you just pair right through the Nautilus screen there first instead. But the pins match up. So OK and pair. And there we go. Allow access to contacts, messages. I'm going to say no because this isn't my ride. But you've also got wireless Android Auto. So you can simply start Android Auto there. But so having said that, this screen technically is built in Android Auto anyways. I'll show you some really cool features in a second, but you could run through Android if you wanted to go this way instead, but I mean, that is straightforward. You can push the button there in order to go into this screen, launch into Google Maps, and there we go. But I love it. Nice and responsive, pinch to zoom capabilities, which is great. That's nice. You can pop along the top there in order to be able to look at route options. So if you wanted to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, use fuel-efficient routes and things like that, change up your heading, plus or minus this way instead. So there's searching for addresses is straightforward. You can push this little icon in order to get to this little split screen there. And then if you wanted to go full screen either or, so you can go full screen maps, back home to this little screen. And then you can also jump between a few different options there too. You could push there if you wanted to activate your Google Assistant as well. But I mean, it's super straightforward. Along the side, you've also got microphone as well. So Android Auto recently used. So that's just a notification tray along the side there. And then you've got a series of different apps that are available. Now, on the Android side of things, if Waze is not showing in your Android device, you could easily set it up. I've put together a video explaining how to add Waze onto any device, essentially. But you can find that walkthrough video down in the description of this video. But very similar to the Google side of things, you do have the flexibility of customizing some things. So go Android Auto here, and then you could look at previously connected cars. You can customize the launcher, use things wirelessly, whatever the case may be. But the one that we're looking for is the ability to customize the launcher. So let's say if you're a bigger fan of, I don't know, maybe you want Waze moved up, order of importance, closer to the top, and you want to have your podcasts as number 1. So you could just do a grab and push in order to adjust it, but it's not dynamic like it was on the Apple side. You actually have to disconnect from Android Auto on the screen, relaunch for any changes to take into effect there. So, I mean, really all you're going to do, hop home. We're actually going back into, oh, I didn't even launch it that way. That's unfortunate. So it looks like we've got to fully disconnect. So we're going to go settings, Bluetooth, and we're connected to the Galaxy. So let's disconnect from the Galaxy for a second. We're going to reconnect to Android Auto. And it's launched back in, and has it taken, yeah, so it made the changes that we requested there as well. So you actually have to physically shut down Android Auto and relaunch for any changes you make there and in order for them to take effect. But I mean, it was straightforward there, as you saw, in order to get to it. So we go back to our settings, Bluetooth, and we've got both phones that have been connected. So it is straightforward there, but I mean, looking here, you see some things that are grayed out, and that's because you're currently connected to Android Auto. So if you wanted to, you could then just go and reconnect. And if you see there, so you've got one, so this phone's connected over Bluetooth specifically for audio. You could also have another phone set up for phone calls. So it's essentially going to be one or the other. So you can kind of do like a mix and match there if you want to, but it's either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So you can't do like phone calls for one and then Android Auto on the other, but you can kind of do a mix and match this way instead. And then if you wanted to be able to delete devices, you just connect through, pushing there. You can either disconnect or forget it. So let's forget, yes. And same idea, let's take this one. We're going to push through, forget, yes. And it's removed both phones from the vehicle. So it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the new screen in the Nautilus. Okay, and that's the basics of Bluetooth. Moving into driver assistant settings, there are a ton of options here. So you've got adaptive cruise control in this thing, but if you don't like adaptive, you can switch it out to just a normal cruise control instead. And then adaptive cruise, you've got your lane centering system. So the lane centering is a good one because what that's going to do is it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane as you go with hands-free. So this thing now has the flexibility of using Lincoln's Blue Cruise system. So on certain highways in Canada and then all throughout the states, so different interstates, etc., you're going to be completely hands-free driving. But if you want to walk through on how that actually works, you'll find it down in the description of this video. In-lane repositioning means that if there's a vehicle coming to the side, either way, if there's space, it's automatically going to move you along the side in order for that larger vehicle to be able to pass. Lane change assist, if you wanted to change lanes, all you're going to do is use your turn stick and then you're going to go either left or right. The vehicle's going to check on either side, and if it's safe, it's automatically going to change the lanes for you. And then for different prompts, so if it's going to turn on Blue Cruise, it's going to let you know, do you want the prompt, yay or nay? And then predictive speed assist, do you want that one? With a little limiter there. So with the speed assist, what that means is that, let's say if you've got adaptive cruise set up and the speed is going from 80 down to 60, it's automatically going to decrease your speed. But that's also dependent on whether or not you have a tolerance level set up. So what that means is that if you go from, let's say, 80 to 60, but you have a plus 10, you're only going to drop down by 10 kilometers an hour or 10 miles per hour instead. So that one's going to be a matter of preference. I at least enjoy using the adaptive cruise control system, but as always, it comes down to a matter of preference. Series of different vehicle settings. So do you want to be able to idle for 30 minutes max, yay or nay? Rear occupant alert. So when you go to turn the vehicle off, you get out of the vehicle, it's going to either do nothing or tell you to check the back to make sure that there's nobody there, or it's going to sound the horn on you just to make sure that you didn't forget a little one in the back seat. Actually, I'm going to turn that back off again, because I'm not a fan. Lighting, you've got options. So auto high beams, what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes the high beams are needed, it's automatically going to turn them on. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to dim them before turning them back on again automatically. Lamp delay, when you go to lock the vehicle using the fob, do the lamps just turn off automatically? Do they stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 120 seconds instead? I think that was it there. Oh, no, so many other options, so many other things. Easy entry exit for seat adjustment. So when you go to turn the vehicle off, the driver's seat's going to lower and then back up for you to get in and out of the vehicle a little bit easier. And then approach detection, same idea. So as you approach the vehicle, it's automatically going to pull that seat back for you as well. Key detection alert. So as you go to leave the vehicle, or if you leave with if the key fob's away from the vehicle, it's going to let you know. Alarm system. Do you want to ask on exit, or do you automatically want the motion sensors to come on? I'm going to say yes to that one just because it's a good safety setting. Remote start setup. Do you want that enabled, yes or no? And then with remote start, what happens? Does the vehicle determine what the climate control is going, or what the climate settings are going to be? And then it's the same thing with the seats and steering wheel. Do you want the vehicle to determine if the heated ventilated seats need to be turned on or not? Yay or nay? And then how long do you want that start to last? So 5, 10, or 15 minutes? Oh, that's definitely not it there. So you can use the key fob in order to remote open and close the windows. So let's hop outside and I'll show you how that process works. So you're going to press the unlock button twice, and then on the second button press, you're going to hold. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Then you can press the lock button in order to pause it part way if you wanted to. And then to continue the cycle, you just press the unlock button again twice. Second button press, you're going to hold. Rolling the windows down, and once it starts going up or down, you can then release. And that's the window down, and it's all 4 windows. And then in order to roll them back up again, you press the lock button twice, and then on the second button press, you're going to hold. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Same idea, so you can release, you can press the unlock button to pause it part way, or press the lock button again twice in order to continue the process. So it is really straightforward. I love how simple it is. Moving back from there, you've also got power liftgate, and there are a few different options. So you can do just manual if you want to, or power with hands-free. So hands-free means that you're just doing a kick underneath the back in order for the liftgate to be able to lift up or close automatically. Very useful feature. Options for locks, nothing exciting there except maybe for this one. When you go to lock the vehicle, or unlock I should say, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? And then key free, so you do have the option of using phone as a key inside of this thing. It's all set up through the Lincoln Way app. But if you want to walk through on the Lincoln Way app specifically, you'll find that down in the description of this video as well. And I don't even, oh, went back, whoa, one too many times. All right, from there, that is almost the basics. So we've got locks and then mirrors. Mirrors, do you want the auto fold to come in? So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the mirrors automatically fold in, yay or nay? Door keypad code, so there's a 5-digit factory code that comes with the vehicle, and then you can also enter in your own unique ones there. The big benefit to these codes is that if you don't have the fob on you, you want to get inside using phone as the key, whatever the case may be, and let's say your phone's died, you'd be able to use the backup start password and the keypad code to get in and then start the vehicle up. And then if you're changing oil yourself, oil life reset means that it'll just reset back to 100% if you're changing oil yourself instead. And that is everything under vehicle settings. Next up, some basics for system, language, and input. How many? Oh, wow. Look at all the languages here. So it used to be just English, Spanish, or French. Now you've got so many other options instead. I love that. Google Fill Services, yay, nay. Text-to-speech output, whether or not that happens. So let's do it so it's a little bit quicker. That's really cool. Temperature, you've got Fahrenheit or Celsius. How do you want to measure things? So do you want to be miles per gallon, liters, etc.? Tire pressure unit, do you want to be PSI, kPa, bar? Do you want to show your speed in miles or kilometers per hour? And then one nice thing about showing your speed in miles or kilometers per hour is that it also adjusts what's going on inside of the cluster screen too. It's going to automatically do like a little split screen for you instead. So it's going to show you both kilometers and miles per hour. Obviously, because I'm in Canada, it's giving preference to kilometers per hour. All right, time, you can update that as well. So automatic time zone update typically makes the most sense, unless you live close to a time zone, in which case I'd suggest disabling that. And then do you prefer to use military time or that traditional 12-hour time instead? Same idea, matter of preference, storage information. So this, that's actually a pretty solid amount of space. Nice. All right, so 60-ish, about 70 gigs of overall data that's available inside of this thing. Kind of neat. So if you wanted to be able to store things like movies, music, and all sorts of other things, that's right, you heard it right, movies, which I'll show you in a second. Other basic information about the infotainment system, so you can see your basic information here. You can reset a few different things as well. You can reset individual elements, so you don't want to reset your hotspot. Phone is a key reset, and so, or just do like a full factory reset there instead. So this one is going to be using your vehicle as a wireless hotspot. Phone as a key means that if your phone is set up this way, you can delete other people off of using their phone as a key. And then same idea, you can do connectivity reset if Bluetooth and other things are giving you issues, or perform a full factory reset there instead. Submit feedback, and then you've got Android Auto. So it tells you what the current build is for the device that we're using right now. Profiles, there are a series of different options that are available. You can add in additional accounts. You can set up your profile name. You can change out your profile avatar. So if you wanted something a little, oh yeah, Phoenix. Oh, there we go. Phoenix person. You've got different ID methods. Ooh, you can link your Keyfob, and then you can link your phone right to your individual profile. How do you want your security set up for your individual profile there as well? And then you can add in more, or you can fully delete the profile on top of that. So there are so many different settings that are available here. Display, you could also adjust the touchscreen brightness as well through this. Change out the theme. Finally, we've got a ton of different options that are available there. And there, oh, it's changing theme. I was like, why is it not changing? Takes a second to do. And then it changes up some very small, subtle details inside of that 48-inch screen, as well as the infotainment is going to be probably on the home screen there, where it'll change up a few basics. But that's kind of neat that you can really customize the larger 48-inch screen instead. Actually, I think there was one or two other options there. So if we go back to display, there we go. You've also got a calming screen instead. So if you prefer that calming screen with just basic date and time information, button press. Hello. There we go. So we've got to go back through in order to get back to settings again. Okay, that I think should just be a touch, but here nor there. And then touchscreen beep. There we go. I was wondering where that beep was. So whether or not the beep happens, yay or nay, is going to be a matter of preference. I know that does tend to drive some people nuts, but if that drives you crazy, you could turn it off. Network and information, vehicle connectivity, yay or nay, Wi-Fi. Do you want to connect to a Wi-Fi network if available? 911 assist. So with your phone connected, what I would recommend is making sure that 911 assist is turned on. And the reason why is because if your phone is connected and you're in a serious collision, it's automatically going to dial 911 for you. But you do need to have your phone connected for that to be able to work. And there you've got your assistant and your voice as well. Nothing exciting there. Location data. Ooh, I mean, the screen has Google Maps built in, so in order to use it, you'd need to have that enabled. Do you want to share the information with Lincoln? Yay or nay? That one's going to be a matter of preference, but certain things won't work if you don't have these things enabled. Notifications. Are there any notifications available for all of your different applications that are available through this screen? Privacy information. Do you want to share certain things like control microphone? So this essentially is an Android device. That is really cool. So you've got full control over security, privacy information, and things like that. So if you've never used an Android device, this essentially is going to let you do a ton of things. So app permissions, if you didn't want certain apps or to be able to access different things, you'd be able to essentially lock all of these things out. Security information, yes or no. Do you want to remove security credentials? This is a full Android device. That is really cool. Caption preferences. So that is really nice. So defaults, you can have your text size to show up larger if you wanted to. Default size and very large for different aspects of the screen as well. About time, there's accessibility. And then you've got some basics for your apps. So which apps were opened up last. Permission manager, so who's going to be able to look at what for your data, which we saw earlier. Are there apps that are unused? And then you've got basic Google information. So ads. I wonder if that means that eventually you're going to have ads playing on this thing. I'm like, fingers crossed, hopefully not, but it is a little troubling that there's an ads area there. You've got password information, and then you can send feedback to Google as well. You can also open and close the Liftgate down along the very bottom there. And then next up is going to be our little app screen. And for your individual profile, you've got a ton of different options. So you've got your maps, Play Store, which is kind of cool. Oh, you've got to sign in. That makes sense. But you'd be able to do things like you'd be able to do things with the Play Store, like download additional apps, because there are a ton of apps available here. You've got your Google Assistant as well. You can launch into your phone doing a quick connect that way. You can launch into AM, FM, Sirius XM, whatever the case may be. So, I mean, it is nice. And there are currently no presets that are saved right now. So if you wanted to add a preset, we're just going to add it in. So it's that simple to be able to do it. So I wonder, 94.9 FM.
All right, here's 94.9 FM.
So it tuned to that station as well. Of course, can't get it because of how far away I am from the station, but it's nice. And then if you wanted to, just save an additional preset there. I wonder if I could. Can you delete it? No, so it doesn't look like you can actually delete the presets once they're set there, but you can easily switch in between your different presets. And it's nice because it puts them in order. And then I wonder, so I'm on FM, if I go to Sirius XM now, cool, that's really nice. Okay, so with that available, like when you go to different stations, you can see there. So it's no longer a mix of AM, FM, Sirius XM. It's just going to be a series of individual presets there instead. That's good. You can hold the set if you wanted to set up a unique preset there, start the song over. You can jump between or get notifications. So when the song or the artist comes on, it can let you know. Look at related songs, that's really neat. Profile along the very top, so you can look at your listener settings, basic system information, so third-party licenses. That's really neat. From there, you've got all sorts of options like listener settings, system information, legal information. So nothing overly exciting there, but this is the one I was looking for. So you can block explicit content, tune to start when the vehicle starts up, reset all of your listening history and things like that. Straightforward. And then you've got some settings along the very top, which jumps us back into the audio settings that we had been looking at earlier. All right. And I think that's going to be the basics. So you've got Bluetooth audio available, podcasts, Alexa, AM, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So there are a ton of different audio sources that are available inside of this thing. You can tune to stations this way if you prefer to go that route. You could go this way in order to seek. You could push the button on the steering wheel in order to adjust stations that way and kind of seek in between. Jumping this way, it will jump you to the next available station too. So it's essentially your seek buttons that are available there. Really straightforward. And then as you saw earlier, to save it, you just do a plus. Oh, and it doesn't look like it actually does save them in order. Oh, but you can drag and drop. Oh, that's really cool. I did not know that was the case. So it looks like if you wanted to readjust your presets, all you're doing is just a quick little drag and drop in order to adjust it, to customize it all your own. And that's obviously going to be the case for Sirius XM here as well. Oh, no, that just saved the station. And I'm just like rewriting the same station over so many times. Oh, sorry, John. This is a demo vehicle. Just reset some of his stations. All right, so it doesn't look like it's the case across the board, but still it's pretty nice that this is available. But that's the basics of audio. So the only other thing is going to be an audio test, which I can't show you just yet because there's one other really cool thing that's at the bottom of this screen. You've got Bluetooth audio. If you had Bluetooth set up, obviously I don't have a phone connected, so that's not going to work. Basic message information, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which I don't have a phone currently connected to that. Alexa is available inside of this thing, using your vehicle as a wireless hotspot. There's a fully digital owner's manual like usual. So if you wanted to be able to search for different things, so let's say if you didn't know when, I don't know, maybe when you have to do your oil changes, or actually let's type in octane. So if you're not sure what type of gas that you should be using, it's 87 is the minimum, but you could see exactly the engine specs that you're looking for, what's the high voltage battery, selecting the correct fuel level and things like that, and just swipe across. So it's literally your full digital owner's manual is here. So if this didn't help out, this owner's manual is going to let you know everything else that you need to know about the vehicle. Nice. You can perform software updates, look at additional settings, which we've already seen. You can play games inside of this thing too. So you have to download them from the Play Store, and you can even connect a controller to this thing too. Looking at a series of different files, like this thing is literally an Android device. So if you had images, videos, and things like that that you saved, you'd be able to play them all through the screen here instead. That is really cool. Really, really cool. And then from here, you've also got basic files, Sirius XM, podcasts, you've got Google News as well. And my most favorite, you've got YouTube right through the screen here. So this thing does support full video playback and audio playback through YouTube directly. So that is amazing. So you literally have full video playback. So let's take a look here. I've got to obviously do this and see. So you've got all, oh yeah, there we go. So you could pull up YouTube channels directly here, and then if you wanted to, you'd be able to do things like, see what's going on here. Can we go full screen? Yeah, look at this. This thing, fully removable, and then it gives you a nice amount of storage space back there. So, okay, That is really cool. So you can do full video playback, and I wonder if you can even adjust the quality if you wanted to from there. Okay, hold on. Okay, so it doesn't look like that's the case. Yeah, so you can't adjust the quality there, but you can have it autoplay and then closed captions and things like that as well. That is really, really cool. Okay, I like, not even secretly, I absolutely love that there is full YouTube video playback available here. So if you wanted to be able to watch different things, you'd have the flexibility to be able to do it. That is really cool. I love it. YouTube, available on this thing now. I love it. But one thing, I guess that I should point out too, is that it only works when the vehicle's parked. Because the second you go into drive, reverse, whatever the case may be, it's going to obviously turn it off from a safety perspective. But still, that is really cool that that's available. And then the only other thing to point out, so that's everything there, and you can fully adjust and customize these things too. So drag and drop capability to be able to customize it. Which location do you want to have all these things saved as? We can sort them alphabetically if you want to, reset to a default layout, and then manage which apps are showing up. So many things. I love it. That is amazing. And then the other thing to point out here is going to be this tray. So this gives you the flexibility of being able to adjust the 3 individual screens on the right-hand side of this larger 48-inch screen. So it's essentially the 24 inches that way. And it's 3 individual settings there. So you can see you've got 3 unique ones. So you've got music, tire pressure, and then weather. And then you've also got the options here. So you could just drag. Let's say if you wanted to have the clock up there instead, you can adjust that. If you wanted the fuel economy back, you can push that way. If you wanted to show what media was currently playing, you'd have that available. If you wanted your trip counter up there instead, you could do a drag and drop to show your trip counter. That is really neat. And then you've also got the option of going calming screen instead. And that just makes things nice and subtle. So if you're not a fan of all the information coming at you, you've got the flexibility of being able to show or hide certain information there. That's really neat. Love it. The screen, like it is, I love it. I love how these screens work in tandem with one another. Like having your fuel economy being able to show up and all the other information that's necessary, changing it out to what other information that you want. Really straightforward. And then you can lock it in. So once you've adjusted it the way that you want to, you then just push in order to lock in your changes. And when you do, I mean, it just looks so good at the same time. Well, I know that's a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the new infotainment system inside of the Lincoln Nautilus.